Good morning, children. Welcome back to Class 4 English Lesson 11. The name of the lesson is A Tuesday. I will now read the lesson and explain it to you. A Tuesday. On an afternoon walk to the park with his sister Jane, the twins and their governess, Mary Poppins, Michael Bank finds a compass by the roadside. Mary Poppins tells Michael and Jane that the compass takes people around the world. But Michael does not believe her. Then, all at once, the magic begins to happen. Mary Poppins had a curious expression on her face. "You just watch," she said. She held the compass in her hand and said, "North." The letters slid around the arrow, dancing giddily. Suddenly, the surroundings grew bitterly cold and the wind became so icy that Jane and Michael shut their eyes against it. When they opened them, the park was disappeared. Instead, they were surrounded by great boulders of ice and snow. Here now, it's a story. In the story, we find two people. They are twins and their governess. Governess means who is taking care of the young children when their parents are not at home or when the parents are busy. Michael and Jane and twins. They are looked after by Mary Poppins. As Michael, Jane and the governess Mary Poppins were walking on the road, Michael found a compass by the roadside. Till then, Mary Poppins told both the children that compass will take the people around the world. But Michael did not believe it. Now Mary Poppins made a strange expression on her face and said, "You now watch what will happen." And she held the compass in her hand and said north. The letters slid. Slid means changed places and moved smoothly. Suddenly, what happened? The surroundings started to grow bitterly cold and the wind became so icy that Jane and Michael started to close their eyes against it. They couldn't open their eyes against the wind and the cold. When they opened, what did they see? The park had been disappeared and they saw the great boulders, means very large rocks of blue icy snow. "Oh, oh," cried Jane, shivering with cold and surprise. "What has happened to us?" Mary Poppins sniffed. At that moment, a huge white polar bear leaped out from behind a rock. He stood on his hind legs and hugged Mary Poppins. "Welcome to the North Pole," he said, smiling widely. Jane and Michael trembled. Did polar bears eat children? They wondered. "You are shivering," the bear said kindly. "Let me get you a little snack." And he sprang into the blue-green water and came up with a herring. He tucked the fish into Mary Poppins' hand. "Tell me something," he began, but Mary Poppins interrupted him. "We are on a world tour and have to leave. Thank you for the fish." "South," she said to the compass. As Mary Poppins said north, what happened? The compass took them to the northern place and it was very cold and it was very icy there in that place and the children started to shiver. Till then, what happened? A polar bear came behind from the rock and it hugged the governess Mary Poppins and welcomed them to North Pole. And now it saw Jane and Michael. Michael were trembled. And what did the polar bear do? Now the polar bear said that all of you are shivering here, so I will go and get something for you. It went inside the water and brought a herring, is a small silvery fish, and it tucked, means pushed with great care and fondness, gave the fish to Mary Poppins. Till then, Mary Poppins said that we have to go back We are on a world tour and we have to go back and thank you for the fish. Now, what did Mary Poppins do? She said south to the compass. Jane and Michael felt the world spinning around them. The air grew soft and warm as they found themselves in a leafy jungle. Welcome, shrieked a large hyacinth macaw. It outstretched wings. Mary Poppins, how nice to see you. Will you wait? Alice, we can't. We are on our way round the world. What a journey. Well, at least eat some bananas instead of that wriggling fish. But Mary Poppins shook her head and said, East. Jane and Michael were very disappointed. They wanted to eat some bananas. Again, the world went spinning round them and they found themselves in a grassy clearing surrounded by bamboo trees. Green, paper-like leaves rustled in the breeze, and above the quiet swishing they could hear a steady rhythmic sound. Glancing round, they saw a large furry shape black with blotches of white. Jane and Michael gazed at each other. Was it a dream from which they would wake, or was it really a panda? The panda drew a long breath. Now, as they came back from now north, they reached south. Here they were welcomed by the bird called as macaw. Its outstretched wings, it started to welcome them and it gave them some bananas and asked them, instead of eating that twisting and turning quick movement fish, please have some bananas. Till then, Mary Poppins looked down and then she called out, looking into the compass, she said east. Till then, Jane and Michael, they were very much disappointed. Why? Because they wanted to eat some bananas, but Mary Poppins, she did not let them to eat the bananas. Again, what happened? The world went on spinning and Michael and Jane found themselves on a grassy clearing area. Clearing means an open space in a forest. They found themselves with a bamboo trees and green paper like leaves rustled in the breeze. It made some noise in the breeze. And what happened? They could hear some sound. The quality of having a regular and repeated pattern of sounds, what they could hear. And now what did they do? What did they see now? They saw black with blotches of white. What was it? It was a panda. Now they thought, wow, is it a dream or we are looking into the real panda? Whoever it is, please go away. I rest in the afternoon. All right, and then perhaps Mary Poppins continued, you will be sorry you missed us. The panda opened one eye. Oh, it is you, my dear girl, he said sleepily. Where will you stay? I have to make a home for you all. There wouldn't be enough room in mine. He nodded at a neat shelter made of leaves and bamboo sticks. We are not staying, Mary Poppins assured him. We are taking a little trip round the world. The panda gave an enormous yawn. Never mind, my dear. Mary, pluck a few young bamboo shoots. They will sustain you till you get home. And you too, he nodded at Jane and Michael. Tickle me gently behind the ears. That always sends me to sleep. Eagerly they sat down beside him and stroked the silky fur. Never again, they were sure of it, would they have the chance of stroking a panda. The furry shape settled down itself and as it stroked, the snore began its rhythm. Now what happened as they saw the panda tells them that it is the time to rest in the afternoon. Please, I can't meet anyone now. You all go away. But Mary Poppins will say that if you won't talk to us, you will miss us. Now the panda will open its one eye and looks at who has come. Till then, he saw Mary Poppins and said, oh, my dear girl, you have come here. Now, I don't have enough rooms here in the house. I will now get ready for you with a shelter. I will make a small shelter with leaves and bamboo sticks. Till then, Mary Poppins is assuring. Assuring means she's telling something with confidence that we are not going to stay here. The panda then said that never mind, then pluck some bamboo shoots. Young bamboo plants are called as bamboo shoots that will nourish and strengthen you. It will nourish and it will give strength to you. So please take the bamboo shoots with you. And he nodded and told Michael and Jane to take the bamboo shoots, and also he asked Jane and Michael to tickle him behind his ears. Why? Because tickling behind his ears gently will make him to sleep again. So, and now what happened? Eagerly they sat down and slowly stroked. Stroked means moved their hands gently over the ears, and suddenly the panda slept off and it started to snore. "He's asleep," said Mary Poppins softly. She beckoned to the children and flicked her wrist, and the compass understood, for the spinning began again. Hills and forest went dancing around them to unheard music. Then again the world was still, as if it had never moved. This time they found themselves on a long white shore, and before them was a large black grey dolphin. "Is that you, Amelia?" called Mary Poppins. The dolphin blew some sand from her nose and yelled with surprise, "It's Mary Poppins. Well, what you do like to have?" Amelia grinned at Jane and Michael. "The seaweed here is excellent." Now what has happened? As they came from the panda's place, what happened here now? They came back to the another place, and now Mary Poppins, she beckoned, means she made signal with her hand or the head to ask the children to come, and they all moved suddenly and quickly from that place. Till then the compass understood, and what did the compass do? It started to spin again and again, so that hills, forest went dancing around them to the unheard music. They couldn't hear the music, but they saw that fields and forests, they are dancing around them. Then again the world was still. Again it stopped. Till then where were they? They were in a white shore, long white shore. They were, and before them, what was there? Before them they had a large black and grey dolphin. Now Mary Poppins knew the name of that dolphin. What was the name of the dolphin? Amelia. And Mary Poppins called Amelia. Till then the dolphin looked at and asked, "Oh, it's Mary Poppins." Now dolphin is asking, "What would you like to have?" Till then, what did she say herself? And she looked, smiled broadly, and she herself told that, yeah, it is a seaweed. Seaweed is a green, brown or dark plant that grows in the sea. So it is a seaweed which you wanted to eat here, or which you wanted to take. "Thank you, Amelia, but we have to be home in half a minute." Mary Poppins laid a firm hand on the handle of the pram. Amelia was clearly disappointed. "What kind of visit is that? Next time you must stay for tea, and we will all sit together on a rock and sing a song to the moon," Amelia squeaked. "That will be lovely," said Mary Poppins, and Jane and Michael echoed her words. They had never yet sat on a rock and sung a song to the moon. "Well, au revoir. But Mary, are you going to take that herring with you?" Amelia eyed the fish in Mary Poppins' hand. "No, I'm planning to throw it back to the sea." Mary Poppins held the fish aloft. "Ready, steady, go," she cried. Now what happened? Thank you, Amelia. Now Mary Poppins said, "Thank you for what you're going to do now. So please listen, we should reach back home in half a minute." Now, Amelia was really disappointed by the words of Mary Poppins and asked her for the next time to stay for the tea, and also they wanted to sit on a rock and sing a song to the moon. The children were also very much excited by hearing the words of Amelia because they never had sung a song or sitting on the rock to the moon. Now, well, arriva means goodbye. Amelia said goodbye, but Mary, are you taking the herring, the fish which was there in their hand? Now, Amelia is asking, are you taking the fish back? Till then, Mary is telling, no, no, I'm not going to take the fish back. I'm planning to leave the fish back to the sea. Now, what did Mary Poppins do? Mary Poppins held the fish up in the air and said, ready, steady, go, she cried. What happened as she cried, ready, steady, go? Let us read further. And as if it were a bird, the herring swooped up and splashed into the sea. The dolphin was after it in a second, a dark shape rippling through the water. Jane and Michael could hardly breathe. Herring, 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 yelled Michael. If the herring and the dolphin were racing, he wanted the herring to win. What do you think you're doing, Michael? Mary Poppins sounded ferocious. He looked at her for a moment and then turned to the sea. But the sea was not there. There was nothing but a neat green lawn, Jane beside him, and the twins in the pram, and the Mary Poppins pushing it in the middle of the park. As Mary threw the fish into the sea, now Amelia swooped. Swooped means she rapidly moved through the air and splashed into the sea. Now the dolphin was after the herring, and a dark shape of rippling. Rippling means moving swiftly like small waves and into the water. Now Jane and Michael could hardly breathe. Now why? Michael liked herring very much and he started to call herring, herring, herring. Till then the herring and dolphin started to race. He wanted the herring to win the race. Now Mary suddenly calls him and tells him, ferocious means very angry. Now Mary is calling him angrily and asking him, what are you doing, Michael? Till then he looks at her for a moment. As he turned back to the sea, what he saw, sea was not there. There was a neat lawn and Jane beside him and his twins in the pram. Pram means in the cradle. And the Mary Poppins pushing it in the middle of the park. They were back again to their old place where they stood in the park with his sister Jane and also with the twins and the governess Mary. Now, I hope all have understood the story, children. You read the text. Thank you.